Okay, great. Yeah, so again, very warm welcome to the Vipassana at Home 10-day course. I'm Raimar. I'll be the facilitator for the course. And I'm also the creator of the website and the kind of organization Vipassana at Home. So yeah, I'm excited to be sharing these next 10 days together and to be sharing a practice that lies very dear to my heart. I do Vipassana every morning. And yeah, I hope you get some value out of the practice as well. I know some of you are already experienced practitioners, have done a few maybe Goenka retreats or other Vipassana retreats. And some of you are completely new to the practice. So I'm excited to meet you where you are at and just to hold the space and container for these 10 days. So just maybe a few housekeeping things. So we've got the mute button over here, video button. If you want to, you can share your video. This is always a nice way for me to also see how people are receiving the material, but of course don't feel obliged. And we also have this chat function here, and I'll be asking some questions throughout the next hour. So you can use the chat function to respond to this question. Okay. So yeah, just closing down the eyes and allow yourself to arrive, to kind of stop what you're doing and just be still. And just noticing already what this effect of just being still has. And there's nothing you have to do. Just allow yourself to let any sound, any sounds around you come into your awareness. And you might also notice your vision. Even with closed eyes, there's this kind of shimmering darkness, which you can still see. And you might also notice your body. And try and sit upright here. Just stacking the spine. And kind of feeling that you can lengthen the spine. So the spine roots down from your sit bones, your tailbone, and reaches up through the top of the head. So you're just lengthening this spine. And then gently relaxing the spine, holding this upright, erect posture. And you can feel the rest of your body also softening, especially the jaw, the face, the eyes. Allow the arms and the hands to just rest in your lap or on your knees. And just feeling the legs or feet touching the cushion or seat or floor. So traditionally, when we start a more intensive meditation period, we take the 5 precepts. So these are kind of 5 guidelines for living a more wholesome life. And I'm just going to read these out to you, and you can feel free to reflect on these. And if you want to, you can make the commitment to take these precepts for the next 10 days at least to help support your meditation practice. But of course, you can do what you wish. So the first precept is to abstain from killing, to abstain from taking any life. If you want to, you can just repeat in your head, I abstain from killing. Second precept is abstaining from taking what is not giving. So abstaining from stealing. The third precept is abstaining from wrong speech. So abstaining from speech that's intended to harm others and from dishonest speech, telling lies. The fourth precept is abstaining from sexual misconduct. So abstaining from the misuse of sex. Does not mean to not have sex, but just abstaining from its misuse, from harassment, etc. And the last precept is abstaining from intoxicating substances. So the more obvious ones like alcohol. Okay. These are the 5 precepts. And just feel these sink in a little bit. And now I invite you to feel why you are here today. Why are you doing this course? Feel it as an inspiration. You've taken the time to really get to know yourself over the next 10 days. This will take some discipline, some kindness, some getting to know yourself better. And now feel also the presence of all the other people that are doing this course. So we have 15 people here on the live session, and many more will be watching the recording. And just feeling this kind of shared intention of you all. There's other people out there who are willing to work on themselves, willing to sit with themselves. So let's just take a moment to connect with this companionship. We are not alone for the next 10 days. Okay. So I invite you to open up the eyes again and slowly let the world come back, the world of vision, You can just take a brief second to just reorientate yourself to where you are, the room that you're in, the different objects around you, the colors, texture. Okay. So welcome again. Now we've all arrived a little bit more. Um, yeah, I just maybe want to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Raimar. I grew up in Germany, and then moved to Australia to study. And I studied economics and finance and worked in finance there also for about 2 years. And it was really during this time in Australia that I started to discover a little bit more about this kind of alternative world of firstly yoga and then also Vipassana meditation. And yeah, it was really a interesting path to firstly balance in the beginning this kind of corporate world, finance, economics. I was working as an investment analyst with this other side of yoga. I was meditating 2 hours a day after my first Vipassana course. Um, and yeah, I feel that I learned a few things about kind of balancing these two worlds. And then about 2 years ago, I finally took the decision to quit my job. It was at the beginning of COVID. I wanted to quit my job and go traveling and pursue these practices a little bit more deeply. So I quit my job and moved to Thailand, where I've been for the last 2 years. And I've been exploring different modalities, doing a lot of Vipassana meditation, but also exploring how mindfulness applies in other things such as dancing, free diving, interpersonal relationships, of course. And yeah, I hope to, I created this course about a bit more than a year ago, and I hope to just share what I've learned along the way. It's been 7 years now since I started to meditate, and yeah, hopefully I can share something with you. So there's this thing about being a meditation teacher. I don't really want you to think of me as a meditation teacher, or I don't think of myself as that, but I'm much more holding the space for you to discover your own practice or to discover yourself through the practice. So I'm giving you instructions for the technique, and I'm giving you the space and time to practice this technique. So it's really the practice which is going to teach you how to meditate, and to the practice which is going to teach you the art of living. I can't teach you that. You have to find that out for yourself. So I really kind of, my job is more to get out of the way so that the practice can teach you and show you. And yes. And so the most important thing is that you do all the hours of meditation, the 2 hours a day. This is kind of really a good minimum amount for you to feel the deeper effects that this practice might have on your life. And you will surely feel that for as the next few days, as your practice starts getting some momentum. These lectures are much more a kind of a bit of background understanding, a bit of theoretical knowledge, but it's really the practice that will make the difference. But I also invite you to use these lectures as a bit of meditation itself. So these lectures, you can also allow yourself to really listen, to embody the feeling of listening, and to reflect actively on what I'm saying. And this will help you connect more with the material. So my first question to you would be, and this is a hugely important question. My question is, what do you want? So in other words, why are you here today? And you can just reply in the chat. What is it that you want from this course or from yourself? Peace. Nice. Inner peace. To let go of the fear of suffering. Nice. I like that. To get better connected with my intuition and myself. To connect with my higher self or true self. To feel more calm and to feel more grounded. Excellent. Is there anyone else that would like to share what they want, why they are here? To develop a greater sense of constant presence of an outer spirit along with my inner spirit. Interesting. To be at ease with the present. Equanimity and calm. Yeah, wonderful. So we have a lot of different reasons, but they're all kind of along similar trains of thought. And there's one more: to know myself and learn to choose which thought I want to pursue and which one I would like to let go. Excellent. Yeah, so all of these things are, meditation is the right place to cultivate these. We've got peace. The state that we experience in meditation can definitely let us connect to a feeling of deeper peacefulness and also bring that connection into our everyday life. I really liked this to release from fear of suffering. Exactly. This fear of suffering. I like that you said to release from fear of suffering rather than just to release suffering, because it's often the fear of suffering that makes us suffer rather than the suffering itself. Yeah, getting better connected with your deeper intuition and self. As we peel back the layers of the mind, as we start to get more concentrated, go deeper into our own experience, investigate our mind and body, we definitely get a deeper sense of who we are, more deeper down, rather than just kind of superficial thoughts that are constantly passing us by. And we can call this the intuition, we can call this truer self, higher self, more peaceful self, whatever we call it. Great. Yeah, being at ease with the present, also a nice one. Just whatever it is, the present moment, whatever the present moment gives us, we can learn to be at ease with this. So yeah, this is really a nice way to do it. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? All good? Yes. Great. So there's the Buddha. The path of the Buddha is essentially the teachings of how to be happy. Buddhism as a religion now, there's a lot of other stuff which has kind of been created around it, a lot of rituals, a lot of the usual religious stuff. But at the core of every religion, there is really something beautiful. And Buddhism basically teaches, or the Buddha, what the Buddha originally taught, is to firstly to do no harm. So to practice not harming oneself and others. So this is why we have the precepts: not killing, not stealing, not lying. These precepts are really there to protect us from, and kind of rules and guidelines to protect us from harming others and harming ourselves. Because as we know, and as probably all of you know, because you're doing this course, you're already more conscious people. And when we harm others, we're also harming ourselves. It's allowing anger to come, allowing this anger to be acted out by hurting others, etc. And this creates feelings of guilt. This creates feelings of remorse, and these are unpleasant feelings itself. And then the second aspect of this is to do good, so to practice loving kindness. We also all know that, and we're also always taught from our parents, etc., that practicing loving kindness is the way to be happy. And we all know this feeling when we do something kind for ourselves, when we do something kind towards others, when we help someone out. This feels good. This is a nice feeling. And just this mental state of loving kindness creates already feelings of happiness. So for example, you can just close down your eyes very briefly and just make the wish, and you can repeat this after me. May all beings be happy. May all the beings on this call be happy, all the other meditators. And may I be happy. And instantly this creates, you might feel more pleasant, more ease, more space, more calm inside the mind. So yeah, these are kind of the basics of the Buddha's teachings, and these rules of, or these kind of universal laws of doing harm and doing good is really something that you can also get to discover by yourself as you go deeper into meditation, and as you start to pay more attention to mind and body. And then we have the third component of the Buddha's teaching, and this is kind of something that he didn't teach to everyone, but if people want to go deeper, this is what he shared. And the third one is to practice meditation. So to meditate and to learn deeper and cultivate qualities in silence, in a more structured, formal setting where we can investigate a little bit more easier than when we are out there in daily life. So the precepts, they are really a way to support our practice. So just kind of like making 10-day commitment to be a bit nicer to people, a bit less selfish, etc. This creates the right state of mind, which has less anger, which has less greed in it, etc. And for meditation to be practiced. So when we practice meditation, we sit down in silence, and when there's less kind of thoughts about guilt, thoughts of anger, thoughts of greed, it's going to be more easier to focus. So it naturally creates a more concentrated state of mind, which is beneficial. The way I would like you to think about meditation during this course is basically like learning to drive a car. So what we usually do when we've never meditated before, we're kind of driving this car, which we have no idea really how to drive. And we're constantly making mistakes and accidentally pressing the brake when we meant to press the gas. We're not checking our rear view mirrors. We don't really know how to use this car properly. And as thus, we always bang into things with this car. So when we go out, we go and we accidentally crash into other people. We create upset for ourselves, for others, and we hurt ourselves more, etc. So what we're doing in meditation is we're just simplifying this thing. So we're taking a step back. Okay, we're going to say, we're going to drive this car first in an empty parking lot where I can just figure out what the hell is going on and what this thing actually is. So we reduce the stimulation. We isolate ourselves. We go into our room. We have a quiet space to meditate. And then we start to investigate how this body and mind is working. So now you have the task of focusing on the breath at the nose, the anapanasati meditation. And you've noticed probably that this is not such an easy thing to do. Some simple task like focusing on your breathing, there's just so much going on. There's all the thoughts happening, there's pain in the body, discomfort, there's the desires to do something else, there's impatience, doubt, etc., etc. And this is a good thing. We were just discovering this whole process of how the body and the mind is working. And in this first part of, so these first 4 days where we'll do this anapanasati meditation, the focus on respiration, focus on breathing. And here the main thing is to cultivate calm, to cultivate this kind of staying on task with the simple task of focusing on the breathing. And what we're doing in this type of meditation, which is kind of called samadhi or samatha meditation. And share screen again. Is we're basically allowing the mind to settle down. So probably some of you know this kind of image, this analogy of this jar with dirty water in it. And just by creating the space to settle down, the space for stillness, having something simple to do, like focusing on the breath, starts to create more calm in the mind. The dust starts to settle, and the mind becomes more clear, more easily concentrated, more calm. And this is really, a beneficial thing. This is where we can start to see what's actually really there. So this is what we're doing in the first 4 days. However, that's not the full picture. So after 4 days, we'll go into Vipassana meditation. And Vipassana meditation is much more about wisdom and understanding. So in Vipassana, we're not trying to cultivate calm and concentration. We're just trying to cultivate understanding. And a calmer mind, so a mind which is more settled down, it's more easy to investigate the mind. So when the dust starts to settle down, we can see what kind of fishes, what kind of algae are there, how they interact, etc., with each other. So as your mind starts to settle down, as stimulation starts to decrease, you can start to see how your thinking is working, how your body is working, how the sensations in your body are manifesting moment to moment. And this is really what we're trying to do. Because when we understand ourselves better, our body and our mind, and how this thing actually works, just like with the car analogy, when I understand better how to drive, how to use gear, how to check the mirrors, how to look outside and watch the other traffic participants, etc. I can start to make better decisions. I can start to make better decisions on the outside, but also inside me, the way I think, the attitudes I have, the opinions I hold on to, the types of activities that give me more peace, the activities that give me more calm, more connection, etc. We can start to have more wisdom, more understanding of how we work and who we are. Yes. So these are the main three components of this course. So it's the precepts, the sila, the morality practice of practicing loving kindness, of doing no harm. Secondly, to practice samadhi, to concentrate and calm down the mind, to let the dust settle a little bit. And thirdly, to cultivate wisdom or understanding, to start to see how the mind and the body is working, so that we can create more equanimity and calm, to be more ease with the present, to feel more calm and grounded, to connect with deeper sense of intuition, self, whatever it is that you came for. Okay. So I have another question for you. How would you rate your ability to focus on what you choose to focus on? So this could be not only in meditation, but also in life. When you choose to work on something, when you choose to have a conversation, how would you rate your ability to focus on that given task or subject? So from 1 to 5, 1 being you're very distracted and restless, and 5 being effortless, sustained focus. There's a 2, 3.5, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3s. Great. That means there's room for improvement. So yeah, most of you are kind of on the 3. Some of you said 4. Yeah, so this is really this ability to focus on what you choose to focus on, so what we're practicing with Anapanasati, is something that's not only useful in meditation and focusing on the breath, it's useful in every single moment of our lives, actually. When you're having a conversation with someone, when you are interacting with a loved one, for example, your ability to focus on what you choose to focus on will help you in that conversation to be more present with that person, to be more at ease, and to be able to connect at a deeper level. Or when you're doing sport or playing music, likewise. And I know that when I, move my body with yoga or something, often I have a lot of distracting thoughts. But with Vipassana, my ability to just be present with my body has gotten a lot better. And if you guys kind of have experienced these deeper states of concentration, so we call them also flow states. Some people experience them through sports. Some people experience them more in nature when they're walking outside. There's less thoughts happening and you're more just present with what is. So these states of deeper concentration, of higher samadhi, they are intrinsically already intrinsically very rewarding. So this is basically what we're working on with Anapanasati, the ability to focus. Great. So let's talk a little bit about what stands in the way when you sit to meditate. So I invite you to just write in the chat if you feel what bothers you when you sit to meditate. What are the kind of things that distract you, that happen, that are keep you off task, or make the thing very unpleasant, make the meditation unpleasant. Russell, is that physical discomfort or discomfort in the mind? So there's many thoughts going on, racing thoughts, work and deadlines, so thoughts about what you need to do, discomfort in the body. Okay, so it's physical discomfort. The conviction that I need to figure my life out. So maybe that's manifesting a little bit as kind of worrying or a sense of doubting. There's discomfort in the mind. Maybe there's kind of a restlessness or worriedness in the mind. Wondering how long there's left, some kind of impatience. Tiredness, a big one, kind of feeling drowsy, lazy, tired. And unable to observe pain clearly, yes. Okay, so we have the 5 hindrances to meditation practice. These are this is a traditional framework for viewing the things that hinder our meditation practice, especially when we start. And these things always keep coming back. For me also, they surface a lot, especially in the daily life practice. But essentially, I'll just go through them briefly. So greed, craving, the desire to have something, to be somewhere else, the desire to consume something, the desire to have a better practice right now. This can always surface in our meditation. The aversion, the thoughts of aversion, kind of more intense feelings of hatred, anger, irritation, essentially the feeling of disliking something. It can also be disliking the meditation practice itself, or disliking pain, disliking essentially the way things are at the moment. Thirdly, there's worry or restlessness in the mind. This is usually when there's kind of a lot of thoughts happening, this kind of monkey mind, where thoughts are jumping around a lot, worrying about things, and the mind just can't seem to kind of still. Then there's also drowsiness, the kind of feeling of falling asleep, and therefore losing awareness. So this is also a tricky one because it kind of sneaks in, and then we just start falling asleep and we stop meditating, we start dreaming. And lastly, also a very tricky one is the doubt, the expectations about how we should be or how the meditation should be, and the resulting doubt that comes from this and comparison of, am I doing the technique right? Maybe I'm not good enough for doing meditation. I have attention deficit or something, and that's why I shouldn't meditate. Or yeah, these kinds of things. And the important thing with these 5 hindrances is just to recognize their presence. So often they start at a little, some seed starts. So maybe you're sitting and you notice a little bit of discomfort in your knee. And that's kind of the moment this hindrance starts, this disliking of the pain that starts. So just recognize that knee pain is there and just refocus on the task at hand, which is to focus on your breathing. Or some worry starts. And just recognize this worry, and you don't need to push it away. You don't need to kind of, okay, this worry shouldn't be there. I just need to focus on my breath. No, just let it be there in the background, almost like a radio, where you're just kind of like putting the radio in the background and letting it play there. Don't worry about the radio. With sleepiness, often when you feel you're falling asleep, it just helps to fix your posture a little bit more upright. But also, we don't want to fight the sleepiness. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that sleepiness is there, but just to be aware that you are sleepy and continue to focus. So these hindrances, they will come up, and that's natural. It depends a little bit on your personality, on your state of mind in the moment, your day to day, how your meditation is, and what hindrance will come. Some of us experience more craving, some of us experience more doubting. For me, it's doubt is a big one. But yeah, don't worry about it. I'm also going to send something which tells you a bit more specifically about each hindrance and how to work with it. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is, this is completely normal. It happens for everyone that is learning meditation. It also happens to experienced meditators a lot. But gradually, these hindrances will start to reduce and reduce the earlier that you catch them and the less that you actually fight them, and just allow them to be there. These hindrances will start reducing. Okay. Yes, about the hindrances. So these hindrances are also really the things in life that make us unhappy. So in our meditation, we are just facing these things and becoming more aware of them. But the important thing to recognize is that these things happen the whole time in our life. When we want to work on something, work on a task, and we feel we want to do something else, there's craving. When we are worrying about some social situation that happened, this is worrying also. And when we are doubting ourselves, doubting about the value that we have, being unconfident, etc., this is just doubt happening. So in our meditation, we are just facing these habits of the mind that are always there. And in meditation, we have the opportunity to work with them directly, rather than just addressing the outside thing that seemingly caused this unpleasant state of mind. Okay. So yeah, just like with this car example, this driving the car in the parking lot, it's really to understand how this thing is working and how these qualities manifest, how these unwholesome states of mind manifest in the body and the mind. A bit like a controlled experiment or a safe space and container where we can explore these and start to relate to these things with a bit more kindness, a bit more gentleness, and a bit more compassion and awareness. Okay. Switching topic a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about how we approach the meditation. So for this, I want to ask you, do you tend towards having this kind of using a lot of effort and trying to complete or to do the things that you need to do in life? Or do you tend to be more relaxed and lazy when you approach the things in your life? So for example, with work or with relationships, do you tend to like, okay, I need to fix the relationship, I need to talk about this, I need to do it perfectly? Or do you like tend to be more like, it's okay, don't worry, it will kind of do it by itself? So just from 1 to 5, you can answer this. May also be different in different situations. So there's a 3, there's a few 4s, 4.5s, a bit more towards the doing, the effort. There's a 5, 3 to 4. There's a, in relationships, there's a 5, need to fix it immediately. And in work, there's a 2. You're pretty chill in working. That's good. Great. Yeah, I tend to be also on the lower scale in relationships, very like, it will fix itself. And sometimes with work, I can be more intense. At least I used to be. Yes.
Sorry, is 5 high or low?
5 is high effort. So 5 is a lot of doing, a lot of striving.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, great. So this is just a nice question to ask yourself and to reflect on also in your meditation, because this habit will show itself in your meditation, how you tend to approach a task. So I've given you a kind of task, focus on your breathing. And your habits will start to come out as you try to do this task. So whether you are too intense about it, whether you're striving, whether you want to be perfect and just focus on that, and whether you get upset when there's a lot of thoughts and things that you don't like happening, or whether you're more chill and very relaxed about it. In the West, we tend to be a bit more towards the kind of effort and striving. Yeah, so this is something to be aware of, because the Buddha gave us the middle way. So the middle way between tightness and looseness. And the whole of the Buddha's path was basically discovering this middle way, because just to kind of say it shortly, in the beginning, he was more about indulging in sensual desires. He was a prince, so he kind of had everything that he wanted. And yeah, he was surrounded by riches, etc. But he realized he was just not happy. And then he kind of went to the opposite end of the extreme. So he went into asceticism, into becoming a wandering ascetic monk, into depriving himself of any pleasures, going on long fasts, starvation diets, holding his breath, living with nothing, essentially. And then one day, when he was kind of so tired and exhausted and kind of close to dying, he just rested underneath a Bodhi tree. And this girl from a nearby village, Sujata, she offered him some rice milk to drink. And at this point, he was so exhausted that he kind of drank the milk, even though he'd been fasting for so long. And slowly he regained his strength just from allowing himself to consume this thing that he had previously been avoiding so much. And it was under this tree that a few weeks later that he gained his enlightenment, not by forcing himself and going into the extreme, but also not by indulging and just following all his desires, but by kind of letting the body be comfortable and nourished, etc., and letting the mind be relaxed and calm and open, and then directing the mind towards investigation, towards the practice of Vipassana. So this is what we need to learn to do. We need to learn not to be too loose and not to learn not to be too tight. And every day this will be a little bit different how your mind is. And sometimes we need to employ a little bit more effort and bring the mind a little bit more into concentration. Sometimes we need to chill out more when we notice that maybe there's a lot of tension, a lot of fighting itself, a lot of struggling, a lot of trying to get somewhere. And then we need to chill out a bit and just relax and enjoy the moment. But it's really this fine balance that's one of the most crucial things to be learned when you meditate. And you can apply this then in your whole life, this balance between doing and non-doing, this balance between effort and surrender. And you'll find it everywhere, whether it's in sports and work, in relationships, and anything. This balance in the middle way is a very useful concept. Okay. So yeah, with this, just recognize how your mind is in each moment and find this balance between using a bit more effort. So in the guided meditations, I try to guide you a bit towards this kind of balancing these middle ways, but you also have to learn how to do it yourself. You have to learn, now I'm like trying a bit too hard and pushing myself and kind of forcing my mind into submission. And now I'm chilling and don't really care enough, which is also a good thing to learn, but sometimes a little bit of effort can enhance something. So yes. Okay. So it's nearly coming up on the full hour. So I invite you now just to close down the eyes, and we're going to quickly review what I talked about today. So close down the eyes, come into the body. Allow the body to come into focus. Not assuming anything about the body or the breath. Okay. So today we covered the precepts, the practice of sila, of morality, to basically do good, to be kind, and to not harm ourselves and others. This creates the foundation for meditation practice. A happier mind will be easier to concentrate. Then we learned about meditation. There's essentially two broad types of meditation. One is samadhi, concentration practice, where we concentrate on something. In this course, we're learning to concentrate using the breath. Here's where we're cultivating calm, cultivating concentration, which is essentially making it easier and simplifying the state of mind so that eventually we can practice Vipassana from the 5th day onwards, where the goal is not so much calm in the moment, but to create wisdom, to create the right understanding of mind and body, to dispel delusion. But we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. And this ability to focus can give rise to flow state. And our ability to focus is really something that helps us throughout our life, not just in meditation. We also learned about the 5 hindrances of meditation practice: liking, disliking, worrying, drowsiness, and doubt. These happen for everyone, so don't worry, you're not the only one. And learning to face these on the cushion will help you learn to deal with these in the daily life. And lastly, I also shared about the middle way. So kind of balancing between effortful striving and using a lot of effort, and balancing that with relaxation, surrender, allowing. So try to see for yourself where that balance lies. And lastly, I want to just remind us all that meditation is not just for ourselves, but it's also for others. So it's as we start to learn more about ourselves and we start to learn how to be happier, to how to be better at doing good, how to do less harm to ourselves and the world, we start to act more in line with universal laws of happiness that affect all humans. And we start to understand ourselves at a deeper level, and therefore understand also other people at a deeper level. So we also want to share the merits that we get from this practice. And the qualities such as listening, patience, stillness, calm will also flow over towards those around us. So even though sometimes meditation seems like something individual because we kind of do it alone, this is really something that our way of contributing also towards the world, our way of being more in tune with those around us, to listen at a deeper level, and to know what this world needs to be a more nice place for everyone. So just to put the practice into some context. Yes, so this concludes the what I wanted to talk about today, what I wanted to share. And now there's a bit of time for any questions that any of you might have, either in relation to the lecture or the first few days of practicing. Feel free to ask anything. You can do this in the chat, or you can
Hello,
speak.
can we hold a back rest at all? Did you say no to it?
Backrest. In terms of backrests, I would recommend not using a backrest if you can. If there's injury or something that prevents you from sitting kind of upright for the hour, then you can use the backrest. But the key here is that the backrests, or kind of leaning against things, tend to create a more sleepy, drowsy mind. And so that's why we have the meditation posture, which kind of balances also this uprightness with relaxation. And learning how to hold this posture, to be in this posture comfortably for an hour, will also balance the mind. So when the body is more sleepy, more relaxed, the mind will also become more sleepy. When the body is more alert but also relaxed, the mind will also be alert and relaxed. So the posture really, the body and mind are intimately connected, and having the nice posture will help you with the meditation. But of course, yeah, if there's injury or if the pain is really so bad that you can't really meditate or something, then by all means use a chair, use some back support to help you with this. But here's also this principle of the middle way: not too much, not too comfortable, but also not too much in pain. Yeah. Thank you for the question. What else is there?
I felt curious about the 5 hindrances that you were talking about.
Yes.
And in that context, like, I feel like also not so much so far, but oftentimes I would have positive thoughts even and be like, maybe thinking about some future event, not in a way of craving or expectation, but just like mind drifting off in that way, you know, in like a positive way. And I'm curious if it's just not one of the 5 biggest hindrances, or yeah, how you would relate to that, or maybe that comes at a later stage. But I felt curious when those are the 5 hindrances. Well, but I also feel like,
yeah. Thanks, Cedric. Cedric, I met Cedric in Thailand. We know each other through, he was in Thailand here, and we met. Good friend. So thank you for joining the course, Cedric. But yeah, what you are talking about is actually also part of the first hindrance, the craving or liking. And these hindrances, they can be very subtle or very obvious and intense. But when they are, when there's something obvious and intense, there's a lot of craving. Oh, I want this so much. But sometimes there's just a subtle liking of some imagination that is being played in the mind. And that subtle liking is a form of grasping and holding on, which proliferates that and continues that state of mind of imagination, of fantasizing. I also get it a lot with inspiration, when you feel inspired to do something and some good ideas. Oh, that's such a nice thing. Like, let's continue this. There's a little bit of holding in the mind. And there's definitely kind of worse things to hold on to, but in the meditation practice, so in the 1 hour of practice that you have, we want to even let go of these positive things. So if you start to feed that thought, etc., you will start thinking about that more and start planning, etc. But you will also stop making progress into investigation of how craving, how aversion manifests in the body and the mind. And so yeah, this is a more subtle one and sometimes more tricky because it's harder to let go of. It's easier to let go of the really unpleasant things, more obvious, but the things that we like are sometimes harder to let go of. But everything returns. So when in the process of meditation, we let go of everything, but the things that are important and deeply in line with the more universal laws of what makes us happy, they could come back. So I've never experienced that anything that I let go of, which is a good thing for myself and others, doesn't come back after meditating. And we want to keep letting go of anything. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
The fact that I am thinking, cognizant of the me meditating and focusing on the breath, isn't that itself a thought clouding my mind? Yes. So in the beginning, especially when we start meditating, the thinking mind is so active, it's not going to be still. And there's going to be like some narratives about how well the meditation is going, how well you're focusing. But more and more you are able to do that as you cultivate more mindfulness of the mind and awareness of how the mind and body is at the present moment. And that narrative that seems to be upheld continuously starts to lessen and lessen, and everything just becomes just aware. But it is one which is not as isn't as gross as other things that cloud the mind. So for now, if it's happening, don't worry about it. Sometimes it's actually useful to maintain a little bit this narrative of like how the meditation is and the fact that I am meditating. And later on, as the momentum builds, you even let go of these kinds of things. But don't worry about it now. This is more on deeper retreats, etc. It's a bit like, to use an analogy, it's a bit like in the beginning we're trying to cross an ocean towards another land. And in the beginning we have this big ship. And then as we get to the next land, there's a river we have to go up. And in the river, the big ship is too big to pass through. So we need to kind of get out a smaller ship and discard the bigger ship. And then we go with the smaller ship up along the river, and then the river becomes smaller. So you need to get rid of the small ship and start to use a rowing boat. At some point, we need to start walking, and at some point, even that dissolves. So in the beginning, we use different things, like even using the focus on the respiration is kind of like a tool to help us go deeper. And at some point, we also let go of that. So it's the same with thinking about meditation. How do you deal with expectations in meditation? Is it possible to not have any expectations when meditating? You can, there's a subtle difference here between what an expectation is and what an aspiration is. So in the beginning of your meditation, you remind yourself why you meditate, why you are here. So for example, I meditate because I want to I want to learn about myself more. So I want to learn how this body and mind works. But then I let go of that. During the meditation itself, I'm not trying to analyze how I am or how I'm working. I need to let go of that during the meditation. And then afterwards, I can think again about the stuff. And often there will be some expectations of how well the meditation should be going based on how it was yesterday, or I've meditated for a few years now, it should be like this, or etc. And these stand in the way, essentially. We just need to keep letting go, and this idea of beginner's mind really helps. So just a complete beginner's mind. What is happening here now? No assumptions about how my body is, how my breath is. Just look at this one breath. This one flow of breath. Is it long? Is it short? Okay, now the next one. Now the next. Just treating every moment as new.
Raima, by the end of the 10 days, will we have sufficient knowledge to continue the meditation practice on our own?
That's the idea, yeah. That's the goal. For you to continue on your own. In this course, I'm like holding your hand a lot because of the guided meditations, etc. But after the course, you can continue to use the guided meditations. But the idea is really for you to have the tools that you can do the practice in whatever way suits you. And we'll talk more about how exactly to do that towards the end of the course, how to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So counting the breath counting game, try to avoid counting the breath for this technique, because we want to avoid to use in this form of Vipassana, we're trying to sensitize ourselves towards the sensations, the actual feeling of the breath. And if we attend towards the counting of the breath, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it creates concentration easier also, because this kind of counting helps the mind keep engaged and stay with the task. But we are not sensitizing ourselves to the actual feeling of the breath. And this becomes very important later on from day 5, when we start doing body scanning, when we start trying to have awareness of the rest of the body, because the more sensitivity and clarity you cultivate with the respiration, the easier that practice will be, and the deeper your insights, and the more clearly you can see the body sensations. So try not to engage in any sort of verbalizations, visualizations, mantras, counting. In Vipassana, we try to be free from any extra layers that we usually add on, but just try to be with experience as it is without changing it. Yes, treating the exhale as a new breath kind of helps a little bit. So this is okay. Now this is the last question. Now we're a bit over time, but if you need to leave, you can leave. So this is a little bit of a trick that we use, or that I suggest, if you want to, if it's working for you. So, usually we think of the inhale as the start of each breath. So the inhale comes, and then the exhale goes, and then this is one breath, and the breath is over. When we switch that a little bit, and okay, let's see the exhale as the beginning of the breath. So first I exhale, then I inhale. This just switches a little bit the way we conceptualize breathing, and makes us look freshly at this phenomena or the sensation of the breath, because it's kind of newer, or it doesn't fit our usual model of our usual way of thinking about the breath. And this kind of fresh perspective will help you a little bit more to engage with the sensations and to investigate them. So it's just a little trick to help you engage with the breath. Feel free to use it if it resonates. If not, then don't use it. So the same with any of the tips that I give in the guided meditations. I'm giving you a lot of different tips and tools and tricks. And if some of them don't resonate, don't worry about it. Just use the ones that resonate, that help you. Okay. So yeah, if there's any other questions, you can write me a WhatsApp message. I need to call my mom now. It's her birthday. But yeah, thank you very much for joining this call and for joining this course. And yeah, I wish you good luck in the practice. And on Monday, there will be a Q&A session if anything else comes up. So yeah, feel free to join that. Thank you very much.